I, female, 31, just found out that my identical twin sister Mia has been stealing my identity for the past 8 months and has taken out loans totaling $42,000 in my name. Throwaway, for obvious reasons, because my sister knows my main account. So for context, Mia and I might look identical, but we are completely different people. I've always been the responsible one. I work at a bank, have a stable relationship with my boyfriend Ryan. We've been together 4 years, and I had a credit score of 790 that I worked really hard for. I've been saving for a house for years and was so close to having enough for a down payment. Mia, on the other hand, is the free spirit, as my parents always say. She's had like 8 different jobs in the past 3 years, moves apartments constantly, and cycles through boyfriends faster than I go through shampoo. Growing up, we were always treated like we were the same person, which drove me insane. Our parents made us wear identical outfits until like 7th grade. I hated it. Mia loved it. Even our teachers would mix us up all the time. I remember in 10th grade, my math teacher would constantly call me Mia, even though I had straight A's, and Mia was barely passing. It was so frustrating. He'd be like, "Mia, why don't you help your sister with this problem?" And I'd have to correct him, and he'd just not believe me, as if I was lying about my own name. Sorry, not relevant, but it still bugs me. Anyway, about 2 months ago, Ryan and I finally had enough saved up for a down payment on a house. We've been looking for months and finally found the perfect starter home. We had our pre-approval letter from before and went to the bank to finalize the mortgage application, and they rejected us. The loan officer told me my credit score had dropped significantly. It was 790 last time I checked. Turns out my score had dropped to the 560s. 560s. The loan officer showed me all these loans and credit cards in my name that I never applied for. I was freaking out thinking someone had stolen my identity, which was true, just not a stranger. I spent the next week making calls to every bank and credit bureau trying to figure out what happened. Then I got the surveillance footage from one of the banks where I had applied for a personal loan in person. Except it wasn't me. It was Mia, my own twin sister, my flesh and blood. She walked into multiple banks pretending to be me over the course of 8 months and took out loans in my name. I just sat there staring at the footage of her in what looked like my work blazer, that went missing last year, by the way, signing my name. I drove straight to her apartment. I didn't even call first. I was just so angry. I had all the printouts of the loan documents in a folder. When she opened the door, she could tell something was wrong, but tried to act casual. I just pushed past her into her apartment. She tried denying it at first, but then I showed her the bank surveillance photos and her face completely changed. She started crying, she's always been a crier, and admitted everything. She told me she lost her job 6 months ago and her ex left her with a bunch of debt. She said she was desperate and didn't know what to do. She kept saying she was going to pay everything back before I ever found out. She said she knew all my personal info and we look identical, so it was easy to pass the verification question. I asked her what she even spent $42,000 on because her apartment still looks like crap. Sorry, but it's true. She was super vague about it, just kept mentioning bills and debts, but wouldn't give me any specifics, which honestly makes me think she blew it on stupid stuff. She begged me not to tell our parents or file a police report. She was sobbing, saying it would ruin her life and she might go to jail. She promised she'd pay me back $600 a month until everything was paid off. And I agreed. I know. Ryan thinks I'm being way too soft, but our parents have always favored Mia no matter what she does. Like in high school, when she totaled our dad's car, she got grounded for 1 weekend. Meanwhile, I came home 30 minutes after curfew once and lost all privileges for a month. It's always been like that. Edit. To everyone asking if I have proof of the agreement, yes, I recorded our conversation on my phone and made her sign a payment agreement. I'm not that naive. The first 2 months, she actually did make some payments. Not the full $600 she promised, though. The first month, she gave me $250, and the second month was $300. But then, nothing. It's been 2 months of excuses. I'll get it to you next week, or I'm waiting on a check, or whatever. Meanwhile, my financial life is ruined. Our house plans are completely destroyed. My credit score is garbage. I'm working overtime shifts at the bank just to make the minimum payments on loans I never even took out. I had to dip into my emergency savings just to stay afloat. And then yesterday I saw on Instagram that Mia just bought a brand new MacBook Pro. and she's planning a trip to Miami with her friends next month. Miami, while I'm drowning in her debt. I don't even know what to do anymore. Did I make a huge mistake not reporting her? Part of me thinks I should still file a police report, but then she could go to jail, and despite everything, she's still my sister, my twin. But another part of me feels like such a doormat. She's literally spending money on luxury items while I'm working double shifts to pay off her loans. Edit. Some people are asking why I didn't check my credit score more regularly. I actually do check it every few months, but the timing just worked out that most of this happened between checks. By the time I checked again for the mortgage application, the damage was done. To clarify about our relationship, we were super close as kids, but drifted apart in college. We still see each other at family stuff and grab coffee once a month or so, but we're not like best friends anymore. And no, she's never stolen from me before, at least not that I know of. Though now I'm questioning everything. A lot of you are asking why my parents wouldn't believe me if I told them. It's complicated. They've always seen Mia as this fragile person who needs protection. When we were kids, Mia was sick a lot, so they got in the habit of babying her. Even now, they make excuses for her. Last Thanksgiving, she showed up 3 hours late, and my mom was like, she's just on her own schedule, while I got lectured for being 5 minutes late to Christmas Eve dinner last year. It's exhausting. Now for the first update. First, thank you all so much for the support on my last post. Several people asked for an update, so here it is, though it's not a happy one. So, quick recap for anyone who didn't see the first post, and sorry I'm on mobile, so formatting might be weird. I'm still working overtime shifts at the bank just to keep up with minimum payments on loans I never took out. Our house plans are completely destroyed. Ryan and I had to back out completely and lose our earnest money, $2,500 that we'll never see again. I've spent countless hours on the phone with credit bureaus trying to dispute all these fraudulent accounts, but since I initially agreed to let Mia handle it instead of filing a police report, I know I messed up. They're treating everything as valid debt, and my credit score is still really bad. Meanwhile, Mia, she's living her best life. She got a new job at some startup and posts Instagram stories from fancy restaurants like 3 times a week. She bought a new car last month, nothing fancy, just a used Honda, but still, and she barely responds when I text her about repayment. In 6 months, she's given me $850 total. That's it, on $42,000 of debt. At this rate, I'll be paid back in approximately 247 years. Oh, and she's still my parents' golden child. My mom still buys us identical birthday presents, even though we're 31 years old. Like we're literally in our 30s, Mom, come on, and have completely different tastes. Like this year, she got us both the same floral blouse that looks great on Mia, but looks awful on me. And my dad still calls us the responsible one, me, and the creative one, Mia, which has always driven me insane. Anyway, Thanksgiving happened last week, and it was a turning point for me. We all had dinner at my parents' house. Me, Ryan, Mia, my parents, and a few of my cousins. Mia showed up an hour late, classic Mia, wearing this gorgeous new outfit I've literally seen with the tag still on at Nordstrom for like $300. And during dinner, she made this big announcement that she would be giving amazing Christmas gifts this year, and literally winked at me across the table. Winked at me with my money. I kept my cool during dinner, somehow. But then something happened that really upset me. I was helping clear the table when I overheard Mia talking to our cousins in the kitchen. I stopped outside the doorway when I heard my name. Mia was telling them that I was having money troubles. When my cousin asked what happened, Mia said with fake sympathy that I had made some bad investments and thought I knew everything about money, which is rich coming from someone who has never kept a job longer than 8 months. My cousins were feeling sorry for me, while Mia just soaked up the attention. I was just standing there, frozen in the hallway, like I couldn't even move or speak. And then Mia saw me. She definitely saw me standing there, but she just kept going with her story, saying I was too proud to admit I needed help. I just backed away. I didn't say anything. Ryan found me crying in my old bedroom upstairs, and I told him everything. He wanted to go downstairs and call her out right then, but I didn't want to ruin Thanksgiving for my parents. I know. I'm still protecting her somehow. It's messed up. The next day, I called Mia and told her we needed to meet. She agreed, but then showed up 40 minutes late to the coffee shop, I was literally counting the minutes. I was about to leave when she strolled in like nothing was wrong. I confronted her immediately about the investment lie and the missed payments. She was so dismissive and said I care too much about money, as if $42,000 is nothing. I reminded her that what she did was fraud and identity theft, and she could go to jail. She rolled her eyes, and said I was overreacting and that I've always been the uptight twin. When I threatened to tell our family everything, she said the family would take her side anyway. And the worst part is, she might be right. She told me I should be more understanding since we're twins and basically the same person. We are not the same person. We have never been the same person. Just because we share DNA doesn't mean she gets to steal my identity. I left without any resolution. I was so angry I was shaking. I couldn't even speak anymore. That conversation was a turning point for me, though. I realized Mia has absolutely no intention of making this right. She doesn't care. She doesn't feel guilty. She thinks she's entitled to my money, my credit, my life. After that, I started consulting with a lawyer about identity theft charges. Turns out Mia could face serious consequences, like actual jail time. And while part of me thinks she deserves it, she's still my sister, my twin. It's complicated. I've also started seeing a therapist. She's made me realize I've been cleaning up Mia's messes our whole lives, always being the responsible one so she could be the fun one. This goes back to when we were kids. Ryan is getting frustrated with the situation. Last night, he said, I seem more worried about keeping peace with my family than about my own financial future. He's right, but it hurt to hear. We had our first serious fight about it. He doesn't understand why I haven't reported her already, but it's not that simple when it's your twin sister. I don't know. I keep saying I never let people walk all over me, but looking back at my relationship with Mia, that's exactly what I've always done. I mean, even as kids, she would borrow, aka steal, my stuff all the time, and somehow I'd be the one who got in trouble when I got mad about it. My parents have always praised Mia for being a free spirit and creative. I've always thought they would take her side in any conflict. My therapist thinks I might be wrong about that, but I can't remember any major times they took my side over Mia's. For the past month, I've been preparing. I created an evidence folder with everything. Loan documents, credit reports, bank statements, screenshots of Mia admitting the theft in texts, and a spreadsheet showing the 2 pathetic payments she made versus what she promised. I even recorded our conversation at Thanksgiving, where she admitted everything again, one-party consent state, I checked. Christmas is coming up. My whole extended family will be there. Grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, and I've decided I'm going to reveal everything. I'm going to show everyone exactly who Mia really is. I know it will cause problems. I know my parents will be devastated, but I don't see any other option. She's had 6 months to make this right, and instead she's planning to show up with expensive gifts bought with my money while spreading lies about me. I'm terrified, though. What if my family doesn't believe me? What if they do take her side? What if this ruins Christmas for everyone? Am I being selfish by doing this? But then again, how is it fair that I'm drowning in debt while she gets to play Santa with money she stole from me? I just don't know if I'm doing the right thing, but I don't see any other way. Now for the second update. I, female, 31, revealed my twin sister's identity theft to our entire family at Christmas. For those who don't remember my situation, my identical twin sister Mia stole my identity and took out $42,000 in loans in my name, ruined my credit score from 790 to 560s, destroyed my house buying plans with my boyfriend, and then spent 6 months basically ignoring my requests for repayment while living her best life and literally buying expensive gifts with my money. So Christmas happened. Christmas has always been a big deal in our family. My mom goes all out with the decorations, and my grandmother always makes this disgusting fruitcake that nobody actually eats, but we all pretend to love. Anyway, I arrived at my parents' house early on Christmas Eve to help my mom cook. I had my overnight bag with me, and hidden inside was the folder. You know, the one with all the evidence of Mia's identity theft. Loan documents, credit reports, bank statements, screenshots of her admitting what she did, the whole thing. I had copies for everyone. My hands were literally shaking putting the folder in my bag that morning. Ryan offered to come with me for moral support, but I told him this needed to be family only. I honestly wasn't sure if I was actually going to go through with it. Like, I kept thinking maybe I should just confront Mia privately one more time. But then I remembered how she rolled her eyes at me the last time we talked about this, and how she told our cousins I was having money problems because of bad investments when she's the reason I'm drowning in debt. I felt awful the whole day while helping my mom in the kitchen. She kept asking if I was feeling okay, and I just blamed it on period cramps, the universal excuse lol. I almost backed out like 5 different times. Around 4 p.m., everyone started arriving. My grandparents, my dad's sister and her husband, my mom's brother, Uncle Bob, and their kids. My parents' house was packed. And then, of course, Mia arrived, 45 minutes late, making her grand entrance with armfuls of beautifully wrapped presents. Like not just 1 or 2 gifts, she had these gorgeous professionally wrapped packages for everyone, even the cousins we only see once a year. It was actually a really nice evening at first. We had appetizers and drinks, catching up with family we hadn't seen in a while. My cousin Sarah just had a baby, so everyone was fawning over pictures. Then came the gift exchange. Usually we do it after dinner, but Mia was like, I can't wait to give everyone their gifts, and somehow convinced everyone to do it before we ate. So we all gathered in the living room around the tree. I was sitting on the floor next to my grandma's chair. Mia appointed herself as Santa and started handing out her gifts. Y'all, the gifts were insane. She got our mom this designer scarf that I know cost at least $400 because I saw it when I was shopping for mom's gift. I got her a photo album I made with pictures of us from childhood, which felt pathetic in comparison. For Dad, she got these fancy new golf clubs he'd been eyeing for months. For our grandparents, she got them matching cashmere sweaters. Everyone was freaking out over how generous she was being. My mom kept saying, Mia, this is too much, but you could tell she was thrilled. My dad was practically giddy looking at his new clubs. Then Mia announced she was saving the best for last and handed my parents an envelope. Inside were tickets for a Caribbean cruise, like a 10-day luxury cruise that had to cost at least $5,000. My mom actually started crying, saying it was too extravagant, and Mia with the audacity said, Don't worry about it. I've been saving all year to make this Christmas special for everyone. Saving all year, with my money. I felt sick watching everyone praise her while I sat there knowing the truth. Then it was my turn to hand out my gifts. My stupid homemade photo albums and knitted scarves and gift cards that suddenly looked so cheap in comparison. I could see my cousins literally comparing the gifts they got from each of us. Mia got them all expensive electronics, and I got them books and candy. There was this awkward moment where my cousin's kid opened Mia's gift, a Nintendo Switch game, and then opened mine, a $25 Barnes & Noble gift card, and was like, oh, thanks. Mia had the nerve to comment on my cute little budget gifts and gave me this fake sympathetic look. I wanted to scream. The weirdest part was when my dad mentioned being surprised about the cruise since Mia had told him earlier in the year that she was having money troubles. Mia quickly changed the subject and suggested we all move to dinner. I barely touched my food during dinner. I was shaking so bad I could hardly hold my fork. My mom kept asking if I was feeling all right, and I just nodded and pushed food around my plate while everyone praised Mia for her incredible generosity and asked about her new job at the startup. I kept looking at her across the table, watching her lap up all the attention, and thinking about how she was using my money to buy everyone's love while I was working overtime just to make minimum payments on loans I never took out. After dinner, we were all having dessert when Mia handed out these expensive chocolates she'd brought. Then she mentioned our parents' anniversary coming up in January and suggested we go in together on a weekend getaway for them. When I said I couldn't afford to split something expensive right now, she actually said, in front of everyone, some of us know how to manage money, I guess. That was it. I quietly excused myself and went upstairs to my old bedroom. I took the folder out of my bag and just stared at it for like 5 minutes, trying to work up the courage. I thought about all those comments on my last post telling me to stop being a doormat. I thought about how Mia had shown zero remorse for what she'd done. I thought about how she was literally mocking me with my own stolen money. I went back downstairs. Everyone was in the living room having coffee. I asked if I could have everyone's attention for a minute. The room got quiet. I think they were expecting a toast or something. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely hear myself speak. I told everyone I needed to explain why I couldn't contribute to expensive gifts this year. I started handing out copies of the folder to my parents and grandparents. Mia's face, oh my freaking God. She went completely white when she realized what was happening. I tried to stay calm as I explained everything. I showed them the loan documents, the credit reports, my rejected mortgage application. I explained how Mia had stolen my identity and taken out $42,000 in loans in my name over the past 8 months. The room was completely silent. I showed them the payment plan Mia had agreed to but failed to follow. I explained how she had only paid me $850 total in 6 months. At first, Mia tried to deny everything. She kept saying I was exaggerating. So, I pulled out the bank surveillance photos showing her pretending to be me. That shut her up quick. Then she changed tactics and claimed I had verbally agreed to the loans, that I knew about them all along and was just trying to make her look bad. My dad, who has always been Mia's defender, looked her straight in the eye and asked if she really took out loans in my name. Finally, she admitted it. But of course, she tried to play the victim, crying about how desperate she was, how she'd been going through such a hard time, how she was planning to pay me back eventually. My grandmother, who is usually super sweet and non-confrontational, told Mia that identity theft is a serious crime, and Mia just stared at her like she couldn't believe Grandma wasn't taking her side. My mom asked why, if she was so desperate for money, did she spend thousands of dollars on Christmas gifts instead of paying me back? Mia had no answer for that. She just burst into tears and ran out of the house, like literally grabbed her coat and ran out the door to her car. The aftermath was intense. My parents were in shock. My dad kept asking to see different documents, like he was looking for some explanation that would make this all a misunderstanding. My mom just kept saying, "I don't understand," over and over. My relatives were clearly uncomfortable and started making excuses to leave early. By 9 p.m., it was just me and my parents sitting in the living room with all Mia's expensive gifts scattered around us. I spent the night at their house as planned, but it was so awkward. I could hear my parents talking in their bedroom for hours. I texted Ryan updates throughout the night because I couldn't sleep at all. The next few days were a blur. Family members kept texting and calling me, saying they had no idea and offering support. My aunt actually sent me money to help with the loan payments, which made me cry. My parents have actually been supportive. They're devastated, obviously, but they told Mia she needs to make this right. My dad even called her bank to see if they could reverse some of her recent purchases. They can't. The weirdest part is how quickly everyone has turned on Mia. Most of our relatives have blocked her on social media. My cousin uninvited her from her baby's first birthday party next month. It's like overnight she went from being everyone's favorite to being persona non grata. And I have such mixed feelings about it. On one hand, I feel validated and relieved that everyone finally knows the truth. On the other hand, she's still my twin sister. Seeing my family completely reject her feels complicated. I did end up filing an identity theft report with the police. I requested they consider the family situation and any leniency possible, but I needed the report to dispute the loans with the credit bureaus. The officer I talked to was actually really understanding about the whole twin situation. Some of the family think I was too harsh revealing everything at Christmas. My uncle said maybe I should have done it more privately, and honestly, maybe he's right. I don't know. Part of me still feels guilty for ruining Christmas. Even though logically, I know I'm not the one who ruined anything. I'm still dealing with the financial fallout. My credit score is still garbage. Ryan and I still can't buy a house. I'm still working extra shifts at the bank. But I do feel like a weight has been lifted now that everyone knows the truth. Mia has been calling and texting nonstop since Christmas. At first, it was angry messages blaming me for humiliating her. Then it switched to desperate apologies. Now she's sending long emotional messages about how I've turned the family against her and destroyed her life. I haven't responded to any of them. I don't know what to say. I don't know if our relationship can ever be repaired after this. I don't know if I even want to repair it. So that's where things stand. My family knows the truth. Mia is facing consequences for perhaps the first time in her life. And I'm processing, I guess. Trying to rebuild my credit and my life. Edit. Several people asked if Mia has started paying me back yet. No, she hasn't. She keeps talking about how she's going to make it right, but so far it's just words. I'm not holding my breath. To the person who asked why I didn't record the Christmas confrontation, believe me, I wish I had. I was so nervous I didn't even think about it. But I have plenty of other evidence and witnesses now, so it doesn't really matter. Thanks for all the legal advice, but I've already consulted with an attorney about my options. The identity theft report should help me dispute the fraudulent accounts, though it's still going to be a long process. For everyone saying I should have done this sooner, yes, I know. Trust me, no one regrets waiting more than I do. But it's hard to explain family dynamics to strangers on the internet. It's easy to say just report her when it's not your twin sister. A lot of you are asking if my parents are helping financially. They've offered to help with some of the payments while I get things sorted out with the credit bureaus, which honestly made me cry. They're not wealthy by any means, so it means a lot that they offered.